Episode number 412.
I'm helping getting people trained and they're getting into a job now. This has become almost like a flywheel effect, right? The more I do it, the more I want to do it.
Right.
The next thing I know is the more I do it and business is growing because of all the good stuff you're doing. Next thing, I don't want to leave it.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, you know your boy is always fired up, ready to bring you a little fuego in your days, nights, weekends, or whenever you are listening to the show today. But after this show, I think you're going to want to think about the bridge between the new talent that's out there in the world and the top employers that are out in the world, folks. That means you could possibly be, if you don't hone these skills now, you could be honing these skills. And for a lot of those folks out there, there's going to be a future jobs that we didn't even think of today. And that is because we have AI and cyber and cloud. And we're talking to a legend in the game, as someone that's helping our troops in a big way, Mr. Sravan Ankaraju. Did I say that right?
Sravan Ankaraju. You got that.
Sravan.
Okay, one more time. Sravan Ankaraju.
Boom. And we have our guest, Sravan Ankaraju, on the line today. My dude, I messed his name up a couple times, but we're going to be editing that in. But I appreciate you too, sir, because of what you're doing, not only for our world, for our troops, but obviously this is a new world we live in. We live in a new world. There's a lot of different things you hear in the headlines of hacking and these big data breaches that we all get kind of scared about. And some of us actually do have that happen to us. And we are, I know my wife had someone try to buy a hair weave on PayPal recently. Thank God for these platforms that have some sort of artificial intelligence, maybe on their end, to alert them and let them know. But before we get into the nitty gritty of business and the academy and everything you're doing, which is just incredible and amazing, I really commend you on that. Take me into your history. When you were a kid, were you always into technology? Were you always into like the future?
Yeah, it's a great question to start out. What I wanted to be when I was a kid. I want to be a traffic police guy.
Wow.
Seriously. Right. So, young kid, saw a lot of police, and I looked at the way they waved their hands and got traffic organized. I said, I do not know. I want to be that guy, the guy who's controlling where the traffic is moving. Again, that was a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. Before I started thinking about, hey, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot. I think I changed my mind like half a dozen times. Mm-hmm. Before I realized I was 18 years old, I got to pick something to go do stuff.
Right.
Otherwise, it was about traffic police, a pilot, a doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe a software engineer, but that did not come until I was in late 20s.
Got you. And what was the spark that got you into into technology specifically, or what was your first job, like a real serious job?
Yeah, my first year's job was for a company called Cotelligent, and out of school in Oklahoma. I went to school, University of Central Oklahoma, Edmond, did my MBA. And because I'm an immigrant, I had to be sponsored for an H-1B visa. And I got that sponsorship, worked for a company called MCI, AT&T MCI, old times, right?
Yep.
I got there, and I was good with this programming called C and C++. I learned this while I was in my high school, late high school, post-secondary school. I went to a technical institute, got that training. And little did I know that the training that I got when I was 18, 20-year-old was more important than the MBA I got out of University of Central Oklahoma. Wow. And next thing I know is I did really well. And 6 years after, I started working for Microsoft. I joined them as a senior consultant for enterprise application practice, and just climbed, I wouldn't say a ladder, but progressively moved up to my career skills and knowledge and ability to manage a large team.
Wow.
And next thing I know is, and in 2014, I got laid off from Microsoft. Company's an awesome company. They gave me a good severance package, and next thing we know is I'm starting a school. So all that setup from 18-year-old to being 44-year-old, I would say is my huge learning moment.
It's amazing. Well, the blessing is that you were able to pivot all your skills, all your experience into skills that are relevant of today, right now. And, that people obviously need both on the training side. I mean, we could talk about colleges. I was recently hearing a statistic, like one of the best jobs you can get with the least amount of school is a welding job, a tactical job. Obviously, we're going to get into technology. There's a lot more there. But they were just talking about with like a 15-week program, you can get a really good welding job for someone that's not for college, and you're not putting yourself in a lot of debt. Like a lot of college students put themselves in a lot of debt without really having an operation or a job lined up, and then there's so many dang jobs out there that it's like, yeah, go choose. You got a $30,000 job, or there's $200,000 jobs in New York, and you can your degree is still qualifies you for these jobs, but then you got to go interview, and you got to be there, and you got to find ways to promote yourself, and I always say sell yourself essentially into that job, even beyond your skills, right? But most importantly, today we know the skills of coding is such a vital skill. I mean, everything is based on this, and we're not going back in time. I always tell my dad, we're not going back into the horse and buggies. And it's a skill that is such applicable to so many different industries. And I think that we're still just barely getting going in many industries, right? I mean, many late adopters, I'm sure. But tell me this, when you were in that moment of the pivot, where you're in the moment of, okay, we're at Microsoft, we've been doing well, that this has been incredible. I got the severance. Okay, I got some cushion, if you want to call it there. You built maybe some other assets and things like that as well, some stock options maybe, et cetera, that you've done well for yourself, but you want to keep busy and you don't want to just go back to the retirement life. And what was the idea with behind the academy? Because I love this idea.
It's a transition, right? To think about it, I got laid off in July of 2014, and here I am spending my cycles thinking about what do I want to do when I grow up, right? It's almost a reset. And the skills I had was great for what the industry calls hunting. Say, hey, go help another company find a great consulting gig, basically business development. And the more I thought about, okay, I'm going to go hunt for business development, I learned that I'm educating a lot of these leaders and companies about where the future of technology is going. And I realized at that point in time, if I'm going to educate a lot of them, why don't I start an education school and get most of those folks that are in transition, understand where cloud is, where artificial intelligence is. It used to be called data science, and a lot of data science. So we started a school for data science immersive program. And within about a year, we started thinking about where is data science applied? Where do you want to apply this data science to? So applied data science ended up being in cybersecurity. And coincidence, we had a couple of other businesses knocking on our door to potentially partner with them. And they said, okay, people are knocking on our doors for cyber. We have data science. Let's take data science applied to the world of cybersecurity. And then there's this happy marriage came together, right? The bridge, which is you got cybersecurity, and you got data science, artificial intelligence. Where is the infrastructure? Who is building what? Where is it going? Turns out my skill at Microsoft, which was about Azure, Microsoft Azure Cloud, was huge. So, all right, my cloud-related skill helped me. And then the competition is Amazon Web Services. So Amazon, Azure, cloud, data science, cybersecurity, it all come together. And you come to 2020, you have ransomware attacks, you got cyber attacks, all that. It's, you got to be in the game. I say as a business owner, you got to, wave these ups and downs, these waves that come in, right? You got to ride them. And and if you have created a long, sustainable business model with a good runway and a good roadmap, you are going to be successful. So we created a business that is more important today because of all the economic reasons. Inflation's up.
Right.
Wages are going up and all the other stuff, supply chain issues, ransomware attacks. We got to get people trained, educated, more people moving to new jobs, because the new jobs of future have not been created yet.
I love that.
They're still, and there's more work to do as an industry, as leadership across the United States for us to do more. And I tell this a lot of folks, look, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that's been passed is about building those manufacturing and infrastructure and all those new things for the United States. Some of those dollars have not trickled down to states yet. New jobs have not been created yet.
Right.
And if you want to create those new jobs, do you want to create what was there 20 years ago?
No.
Or 30 years ago? And so if you want to excite people, you want to talk about the world of, how does automation work? How does process automation work? How does industry 4.0 work? How does manufacturing work? What does reshoring mean? If you want to bring the reshore back, what does that mean? You talked about welding. Well, welding's great, right? Welding's great. What about HVAC and what about electric? What about the new wonderful buildings we're going to create with a whole lot of there is so much new stuff, right? And I'm excited about possibilities. You talked about military. I always say this, Travis. Imagine and we know this, an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old carrying millions of dollars of equipment on their shoulders and carrying that to the war zone. They take a lot of accountability, a lot of pride, a lot of in the front line, and they go to front lines for us.
Right.
They are responsible, right? As a responsibility, they have so huge responsibility on their shoulders.
Absolutely.
Can we trust them to do similar and if not better job when they come into civilian workforce? Absolutely.
Right.
Why not? Right? You're trusting them with our lives.
And our freedoms, baby. We just had July 4th yesterday. Our freedoms, baby.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a big part of it because a lot of them also probably need an opportunity to use their skills in a way that they're missing some of the action, man. So some of these jobs, especially in cybersecurity and some of these other ones, you're kind of in you're in the action in a different way. You're whether you're fighting cyber attacks or whatever the different things they're doing with the code, it makes them feel maybe more like they're back in somewhat of that combat in a way too, maybe. I think that because some of them are missing that, I know just talking from a few of my buddies, it's like it's constantly in them that they're kind of missing that, and it's hard to serve that here. Obviously, when you come back to, the normal, we're not in that state of mind on a daily basis, typically. Right. So, but it's so interesting. I have so much respect for anyone that served in our military. I always want to help any way we can. And so I always commend businesses like yourself that are just opening that door. Not that it's only for military folks. Obviously, you have a lot of different opportunities out there for yourself, including, obviously, we talked about even employers, those that are looking to source, right? Looking to source these kind of opportunities, which now more and more is.
Right. Sorry, I cut you out there.
Oh, no, yeah.
So 60% out there, the metric out there that there are non-combat, even though they are military, they're non-combat. I think we spend a lot of time on combat side, and there's also folks that are in the military that are non-combat.
Right.
And they're also looking for transition, and they want to get out of military. And once they retire, they want to know what that civilian transition looks like. Hey, are my skills that I learned in military useful? Right. Combat too. Their challenge is always about, hey, I'm so used to you building and using equipment. Is there stuff I can do on the civilian side that I can touch and feel and be tangible, right? Yeah. So we say, look, we're going to give you gear, right? We're going to give you a Tinker Kit. We're going to use the Raspberry Pis, Arduino devices. We're going to give you a Tinker Kit.
Right.
Put them together and see if you can hack into that device, right? I always say, tinker more than, we need more tinkerers, right? Not just random thinkers. Guys, let's get to work. Let's actually tinker with the device. Let's see if we can break into ethical hacking, right? But the idea is to see what's breaking so we can actually go in there and defend it. Right? And so it's all, learn to play offense so you can do a better defense.
Absolutely.
Right? So the whole idea out there is cybersecurity is not just because of ransomware attacks, which are crazy out there, but also how do you play better defense, kind of perimeter, make sure we have infrastructure in place that we know all these unknown actors or known actors out there that are hurting our defenses or are attacking nation. We're able to protect them.
I know I saw recently they just uncovered all the people had their CCW, I think it was, out here in California. So anyone that had a concealed license, they possibly got your address and interesting stuff like that. I don't know. It was from a hack, I think. I don't know why they would want that, but interesting information. They want to find out who had a concealed weapon out there, in California. But it's just like you said, it's very interesting. And obviously, let's just be real. As much as you can be scared of this stuff, I had Kai-Fu Lee on the show, AI Superpowers. The dude is just an incredible thought leader around AI. But he always put it into my mind, as well as like I feel the optimism for you too, is that as much as we, things like that will maybe possibly eliminate certain types of jobs, but there's going to be a lot more of other types of jobs that we never thought even existed, 20 years from now, 10 years from now.
I think it's interesting you quoted Kai-Fu Lee, because the whole world of tinkering and thinking came from him.
Yeah, there we go. Synchronicity, baby. I didn't even know that. Let's go.
So you should read, in one of his chapters, I think it talks about, look, there's a lot of product out there. We've done a wonderful job over the last 15, 20 years building these systems. Now we want to use those systems, build wonderful businesses. We want to reach out to businesses that are out there in remote rural worlds, right? How do you bring them in? How do you build a great community? How do you inform them? How do you drive up knowledge? You got to use the technology to do that. Right. You cannot do it old way where you're going to go on a buggy and teach them a thing or two. How do you reach out to them? Call it LinkedIn, call it Instagram, call it Twitter, call it whatever you want to call it, a medium to get to the folks out there. If you get them, teach them a thing or two, give them a tool, teach them. So I come from that background, right? Which is, hey, coding is good. You want to do a lot of coding, but there are new stuff happening out there. It's called no code, low code stuff.
Yeah,
Travis, you can build a great application together tomorrow morning that has all these things about podcasts and who your guests are by using no code, low code infrastructure. Really? Literally drag and drop and build up a wonderful,
almost like a simple, like a real simple, like PowerPoint or something like that. Like a Canva has done for photo editing.
Right. Take it to the next level. How do you add interactivity to it? Right. How do you kind of take input on a form? What do you do when the form is actually filled? Where does it go? Do you want to fire a text message or an email? And what about connecting that to your marketing automation and all that good stuff? You can do it without having a developer sitting next to you. You can do it by yourself.
Wow.
I think we have come this far that the next level has to be a little more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Right. I want to do voice to text conversion.
Right.
That exists too. I want to text to transcription to improvement of all these wonderful. Recently we did a congressional statement about vocational trade schools, basic allowance for housing, all that stuff. What we did was, how do you create original content, right? What we did was to bring our team of 7 to 8 people onto a call, our staff, and said, guys, go. Let's talk about what are the things we're going to do to improve the state of affairs related to vocational trade school and housing allowance. And before you know it, right, we had 1.5 hours of recording, and we sent to a transcription service. And immediately it gave us everything we transcribed. Content. We ran that through, I forgot what it was called, a Word something, and it cleaned up all our language. And then we sent it to Grammarly, and Grammarly said let's summarize it, right? Make it better. Next, a nice 1.5 hours worth of transcription turned into a beautiful document.
Wow. And all of it done with the help of an artificial intelligence platforms that save you some time too.
You got it. So the things that would have taken about a week or two to kind of pull this together, we did it in a day.
This is crazy, folks. I literally had this happen, my man, in my my sports car business. I was realizing how much time we're spending photography, uploading, getting the cars to eBay. And then I realized, like, on YouTube, I was like looking around. I'm like, what can we find? Found out, well, there's a company called Chronosio that basically has an artificial intelligence software based in it, so that when I scan cards through my scanner now, it picks it up and then I can send it to the AI, and then it'll identify like all the important information for the eBay listing. And then I still have to kind of edit it. It's not 100% perfect, but it fills out a ton of information. I mean, folks, I'm talking 8-10 hours of time saved on hundreds of cards. And honestly, a lot of these cards were kind of on the lower end of our inventory, so we wouldn't even have staff to be able to put to it. So it's not only saved inventory time, but it's also actually given us more revenue, because now we can put more inventory, because we don't have the listing complications. At $15 an hour, it would be very hard and difficult to have someone listing these manually because they're under $2 cards. But on eBay, these are the cards that actually sell because, even during a recession, people got $2 on hand. So we figured out a problem, but we also realized that, wow, we can add even more revenue to the business by just having more listings,
Well, so let me help out a couple of business owners that are out there, right? So one of the things I learned in my last 7-year journey as a president and owner of Divergence Academy is, hey, you got to be a thought leader. I said, what does thought leader mean, right? It means, hey, whatever is going on at the academy, whatever you guys, wonderful stuff you're doing, put it in a video format. I said, sure. We did student testimonials, employer testimonials,
right,
and speaker series. We started putting on video. Next thing we know is the people out there said, okay, now can you turn this video content into a journalistic form of content? What does that mean? You ask a question, I respond. Every time there's a question prompt, that turns into almost a Q&A, and each of those questions can be translated into a piece of content.
Right?
And then we said, okay, how do you break that content? Well, there's a software out there, Repurpose House, and you upload your content, and a video gets converted into, I think it's called audiogram for Twitter, and infogram, audiogram. I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. All these short reels and shorts and all that stuff that can happen from one large form of content. So it really does not take a lot of effort to take a large form of content that is carefully built out into short forms of content.
Right.
It's your leadership. It's your podcast. But you're now able to reach out to so many more people that can just hear the sound bites or listen to the whole podcast or go read a blog post.
I love that, dude. I love that. And it's because of tools. It's automation, it's tools. And it's a lot of time it is finding the tools, because we know the second you find one tool, there's a better tool tomorrow. And, at the end of the day, too, some tools cost money. So not every tool is worth the value of the dollar, I always say. I know in the pandemic, we found we had a $700 tool that we were not really utilizing as a company. And we just had to cut it out of the system because we realized, hey, we were not utilizing this tool. It happened because, the 2020, we were all kind of getting a little freaked out about everything. And the business we kind of like, okay, we need to figure out where the expenses are and where these things are. And we found out there's a lot of free tools that do somewhat similar stuff that we can use, or a lot lower price tools that we can use. So that's the best part, is a lot of the stuff is going to somewhat of if it's a $5,000 tool, there's got to be a $50 tool out there that can do somewhat similar. Now, not every industry. Sometimes a $5,000 tool a month is golden for an industry. But like I always believe that there's competitors trying to work on, beat every company out there. You have to just kind of constantly be looking, folks. That's basically what I did in my business on my eBay. That has saved me like hundreds of hours of time, and it's already paid for the software, the technology, everything expense you could ever think of, because it's basically just a little YouTube search away and learning a little bit. And it was definitely a little uncomfortable, if you want to call it. Everyone has a little bit of uncomfortability that we all experience, but most importantly, on the flip side, it's the hours of time saved is what I think artificial intelligence, AI in general, does. Whether that's filling out your sentence on your Google search or your Gmail, you're typing in a sentence and all of a sudden it suggests the rest of the sentence for you. You can just swipe it to the right and it saves you an extra little second of time. I really believe that time is the most precious asset we have, and that's the other thing to remind ourselves to always look at.
You know what I say, Travis, at the end of the day, you got to know what your process is, what your business is, what are you trying to do? Because you cannot automate anything and without knowing what the end result is going to be.
Right.
So if you put it on paper, say, hey, I'm trying to put a new listing on eBay. Well, you already have a starting point, right? What I got to take a picture, a text, and put it all together, put it onto eBay listing. Now you know where your end goal is.
Yes.
So AI by itself is dumb. Right? We need people. We need businesses. We need thoughts. We need to understand what is it that you're trying to do, so you can actually automate it. You can automate it. Of course, human augmented stuff is what people talk about. AI is AI, but you still need to intervene. You still have to human augment. You have to enrich it. Is a text that you're putting on the eBay, is it good? If it's not good, what is the thing that you were planning on doing to make it even enriched? right? So machine learning learns after 10 or 11 iterations that you are trying to enrich the text you uploaded because you got Travis's way of doing things.
Right. Yeah, like there's a certain way you want to do it.
Correct.
It's going to be like, hey, this is the way to go. This is the way to go. Like I always tell people that with Siri, right? Siri supposedly is always learning from you.
Correct. That's exactly it. So I think we are at a place, a lot of these jobs have not been created yet. There's an opportunity for us to automate, create the next $1 billion business owner that is one-man army, right? And imagine, what you have is grand idea about, I don't know, maybe you want to solve how power is being distributed. Maybe it's a power grid and power distribution. Maybe you want to talk about, hey, there's a war in Ukraine and food safety is an issue. So how do you get food kind of come back to United States? So what are the safe routes that you can take? Maybe you have a better geographic algorithm. I don't know, maybe mapping algorithm. Maybe you are looking at satellite images. Maybe you're looking at drone pictures and stuff like that, whether it is in Europe or in the United States. Maybe you want to create a next generation farming infrastructure. Maybe you have located a location that nobody knows about, but you have that citizen-driven data science models. Right? I think the world is, we are going through a shift. I think it requires a new level of thinking, a sophisticated thinking about problem solving, critical thinking, logic, basic idea of product development, basic idea, what is it that you want to build? And communications. Communication does not have to be sophisticated. You got to write think paper or white paper.
Right.
It's got to be about, can you just talk into the system and it'll produce a paper?
That's crazy when you think about that. I remember Kai Fu talking about the future AI. It'll be talking to it and it will be building the things you want it to build for you.
Yeah, I think Google just released classes. If you're going to speak in Mandarin, I can speak in English, and it does. Wow. I'm talking to you as and it's happening natural conversations, right? You and I just looking at each other without having to, pull out a Siri and say, "Can you translate it for me?" or Google Translate.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's go. The future's bright, baby. I love that. That's always remind people the future is bright. We always fix that. Humans are resilient. We are so thoughtful, as well as we are the most creative source and beings. Obviously, I think the people in the United States just have this edge in the marketing factor too. We have the edge in the marketing factor. That's why our brands are taken all over the globe. We think a little different that way, and we know how to market the heck out of things. My man, now we're about to get into your mind with our top 10. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Apple. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Netflix. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
Instagram. Chicken or steak?
Chicken, of course.
Chicken. Laptop or smartphone?
Smartphone.
Smartphone. Spotify or Pandora?
Spotify.
Spotify. Movies or video games?
Movies.
Movies. Reading books or listening to books?
Reading books.
Reading books. Get that physical book, folks. And when you're thinking about diversifying your portfolio, what do you think about? Stocks or real estate?
Today, real estate.
Today, real estate, he says. Let's go. I think it'll be a good time to buy real estate in the next couple of years. I know, because the interest rates go up, the prices kind of come down a little, softening a little. Right now, the biggest thing is in California, just trying to find a house that like you really want. You know what I mean? Like you don't, like I'm a homeowner. I don't want to double my mortgage to get into a house I don't really want. You know what I mean? Because there was such a big race to basically so many buyers and so many bidders that there was no houses available. So it's like you show up at a house, there's like 10 other people there. And everyone's making cash offers, and you really have to like the house. You're not moving into houses that you love because the inventory is not there. You know what I mean? Like families aren't really getting the house that they fully want. They're kind of just, hey, we have to get it, man, because 10 people behind us are right there. And I think that will change a little bit, obviously, with the interest rates going up a little bit. Maybe, people are going to be a little more particular, a little bit more, thoughtful.
Yeah, suburbs, urban side is kind of crazy out there.
Right.
But if a lot more people are thinking about, hey, I'm going to do this IT related work remotely,
Oh yeah.
I want to move into the rural side and kind of big acreage.
Totally.
I think it's let's buy it and keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. Land always is the win, baby. Land is always the win in this land of the land is free, because eventually they're going to be knocking and say, hey, we need to turn that into a Starbucks. We need to turn that into a gas station. We need to turn that into something. And you go, ding, 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 let's go. We ready. The hard thing about land, I know, is just that it's hard. You can't get as many loans around it and stuff. I know that's one difficult thing, but obviously if you buy acreage where you live and stuff like that, it makes sense. It really does make sense. I think obviously now with technology, you can really live anywhere. You really can live anywhere, run the business, as long as you're responsible, diligent, do all the other things. And then many people obviously telecommute. They live in like the Central Valley and they work every single day in San Francisco. Like it's just very common for people to do. Because also maybe they don't have to work every day there. They work, a couple days there and then they telecommute the rest of the days or whatever it works. Businesses now, I think they don't care about when you work, what you work. It's just, they want to see you getting work done. Right. Like
it's interesting. Not all businesses are the same. I can only speak for my side of the business, which is in the education. Despite being able to do a lot of this training remotely, we love to shake hands. We love to see people tinker.
Yeah.
We want them to come to what we call a maker space where they can take pieces of equipment, put them together, capture the sense, the data coming out of sensors, call it Internet of Things. Right. If you can capture the data and you can put them on a dashboard, you can see how the temperature changes over time, right? How the humidity changes over time, how is HVAC working, and things like that, right? We're thinking about the concepts of digital twins, right? Azure digital twins. What is a digital twin? Can we have a replica of a physical big building digitally in your world, right? At a makerspace? What is that useful for, right? You can actually go into wear your VR glasses and go into that building and navigate that digital building and touch and feel those sensors or thermostats, fix those. You can also do simulation. Okay, what if there's a fire in the building? How are you going to take care of it?
Right.
What if there's so many of these scenarios that what digital twin helps. So we're saying, come on in, let's build that physical infrastructure or digital infrastructure together. Right. All these things, unfortunately, we would love to see them all happen in a VR environment, XR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. But we're not there yet. But what if the future of manufacturing, the future of physical facilities is such that we can actually peek into it digitally?
It makes sense.
Right? And there comes in the bridge, the hybrid, right? Where we want to be, it's okay for a person to be remote, but we want them to come in and actually build that digital infrastructure physically.
Right. And I would say if your kids are, into digital, because I have a 1 and 3 year old, so I don't know completely yet, but I know it's a digital world. And yes. I'm 40, so it was a lot different when I was a kid. And I know my big goal every day is, hey, let's go dig a hole. Let's go do something outside, whatever we can do to get a little bit physical, like you're saying, to have a little bit of that, because I think it's the combination of that, whatever that looks like in your day, in your life, with your sources and your abilities. But you can always go find a piece of dirt and play around with it or something like that. Be a kid. And as much as we do love technology, which is always going to be there for us, I think that there's something about that also we always need to keep in us. And I hope that we can reinstill. As I'm a 40-year-old dad, and basically I didn't have these things, but we didn't get the AOL till I was a little bit later in life, so it wasn't like it is today, where the kids are, hey dad, pull up YouTube on your phone and pull, let's order food, let's go, order DoorDash, and it's just a different world they live in.
So you got mail, right?
Yeah. You got mail. It took you 10 minutes to just get online, and if you didn't log off, it would keep billing you. But really, like you said, it's truly a different world today. And most importantly, continually learning is my belief, is how we continually get better in life, how we get stronger, how we fight through obstacles. And if you aren't at least a little bit interested, folks, you need to start getting a little interested about this area, because there's probably a software that can save you time somewhere in your industry. And if you can't find it today, go on the hunt and find it, because there's something out there. Like my man was talking about, so many different things. You can take a piece of content and turn it into a million different posts on using tools. I could scan 1,000 cars and have eBay listings up, and that would take you 100 hours, and I could have it done in a couple hours. of manpower, and so it's just a completely new world. And if you aren't looking for those things, you're going to be left behind because businesses can operate more efficiently using these tools and technology. Couple more last questions for you, my man, before we roll. Why do you love being you? You're getting ready, you're getting pumped, you're getting energized for your day. Why do you love being you?
It's a change I like to see in people, right? Hey, if somebody walks in and says, look, I landed a job. I used to be, I don't know, dishwasher. I did my HVAC equipment in the middle of heat, and my back's hurting, and I was making decent money, but my back was hurting. I was not able to spend time with family or friends. I have a staff that spent a lot of time in the military. They spent time with away from family, and when they say, so look, this job is the best job because I'm able to spend time with family. When you consider all those and the change in a person, sustainability of life and income, ability to do things with that income, forget what anybody says. Okay, I don't need money. No, that's not true. You may not need a lot of money, a lot of income, but you do need some income for safety, right? If that is being provided to you and you feel great about it, the next thing you know is you're able to take your journey to a next level. So when people walk in and say, I landed a job and it's a great job, thank you, Divergence, it makes you feel good. Now that I'm in that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Which is I'm helping getting people trained and they're getting into a job. Now this has become almost like a flywheel effect, right? The more I do it, the more I want to do it. Right. The next thing I know is the more I do it and business is growing because of all the good stuff you're doing. Next thing, I don't want to leave it, right? I want to do more of the great stuff. And if I can produce more talent, more stuff, it's an opportunity for us to build next generation business. Maybe I can create a bunch of entrepreneurs, call them veteranpreneurship, right? Veterans who want to be entrepreneurs.
Right.
Maybe there's an opportunity to become angel investor, invest in businesses.
Exactly.
I think there is so much opportunity now that I'm in it deep in it.
You get to see the talent. You get to see the talent pool, You
got it. So, and I always say this, look, if you're going to do great jobs for each of our graduates, they're going to become directors. They're going to become senior managers, directors, vice presidents of these companies. Next time, we have 100 students graduating from our program. I don't have to look far because our alumni is going to help the other
recruiting
graduates.
Absolutely. And that's how the best, obviously, every college, depends on the alumni for their future, and so that you've created this with the win and success. When the students get involved, how long does the process usually take? Does it depend on what kind of course they take, or depend on?
Most of our immersive programs are 400 hours long, which is 10 weeks if you do it full time.
That's very
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
We also do an extended version, which is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., which is 4 hours a day, 5 times a week, which is 20 hours. So the same 400 hours takes 20 weeks
spread out more.
Complete. Spread out. Correct.
So it's either 10 weeks or 20-week program.
You got it.
So folks, this is real tactical things that you can do right today to take advantage of. Like I said, even if it's just for your own skills, if you're not even planning to use it for a job, I think it's something you just need to learn about. And if it's something that you can utilize in your career, you're really going to have the edge, because most people aren't going to do these things. That's the thing I always remind myself, is that most people don't do these things to take that edge. Go out and get the Fujitsu and go learn the software. And literally, in my little industry of one of my businesses, that's created a huge edge for us, because now we can get tons of more inventory on with less manpower, meaning more profit per card, right? Bottom line is we can take cards that people throw in the garbage essentially, or donate, and make $2 from them with little time to list, because most people don't list those cards because of the time it takes. And so it's that wheel that no one's going to get that inventory on there. Now it provides cards that people can afford for this time of recession, where, people can't, afford big time cards. They can't afford a $100 card, but they can afford a $2 Zion or a $2 of their favorite card. And I feel good about that, and that's now we've created a shipping issue though, right? So you can't create more orders without getting the shipping done. So now we got to figure the shipping part out, but we'll figure that out on the next, but I truly do believe that, I just love the fact that there are academies like yourself out there, the fact that there are businesses out there like yourself that are not only, they're two-part. You're helping the good of the society, but you're also helping the employers find the talent and get these people that need to help change their businesses, and I see this thing going bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more students, obviously. And then, at some point, you come to the point, do you think you'll ever retire? Do you think you'll ever retire from the business?
Hopefully not, right?
Let's go. Let's keep it going, baby. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, baby.
Yeah. So why, right? If I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, I think there is stuff I can teach others. We talked about farming, we talked about farmland, we talked about real estate. Maybe there's a leadership around. I don't know. Crypto came, crypto left. There's so much out there. What does the new world of finance look like? Yeah. A lot of people ask you. They say, "Hey, what's your worth?" And what? So look, look. If somebody has a problem and I say I can solve your problem in 10 minutes, and I say I'm going to charge you, $4,000 for my advice, they said, "Really? 10-minute advice, $4,000?" So look, the way it goes is not the way I spent 10 minutes. It's the 20 years of learning and experience that I packed into 10 minutes that I'm able to tell you all that, right? And I'm going to charge it. So absolutely. I hope my knowledge continues to grow as I'm getting older, right? And hopefully I can pass it on in some kind of some shape, whatever the service is, a product or service. And hopefully that is more valuable, the product or service, than me as an individual.
Right. So you replace yourself into a bigger organization, a bigger theme, a bigger message. And the biggest thing every day is that you wake up fired up to do it, baby, because that's the most important thing as an entrepreneur. You're ready to go take on those challenges. Not every day is easy. I know my dudes had a rough day here and there along the journey, but I can feel your positivity and energy for your space as well as for what you're doing for your students. And that's the most important thing that motivates you. I mean, that's what motivates most of us.
Yeah, I have a book here, my book, Hackers and Heroes, How Everybody Can Participate in Tech Economy. I'm an author of this book, and the last sentence of this book, it says, "We are the wardens of the future." And it says, "Now seeing divergence grow has fueled my desire to make more progress, which also requires passion. It is a self-fulfilling cycle, and once you're in it, it's hard to undo," right? So thankfully, the benefits are limitless.
They're limitless, and when you get to that spot, you're beyond financial freedom, you're beyond dollars and cents, and it becomes something you just love to do and wake up. And most of us in this life, I commend you for those that are on that journey, because a lot of people do things they don't want to do every day. They show up and they don't want to go to the damn job. They don't want to be here, but you all have the choice. And if you're in a position where you don't want to be in this, remind yourself that there are also ways to learn a new skill. And this is a great opportunity right now, because you can literally be learning a new skill. And in a year, 2 years, 1 year, you could be in a whole different place. In 6 months, you could be in a whole different place if you put the time and effort into it, because there's going to be so much more on the demand side that it's going to outstrip the people available. So you're going to be in a position of demand for the future, and you might as well, even if you aren't even going to use this as in your daily practice, but it's just great education for you. I think that's another piece to this. Do you have a routine on starting your day? Is there a routine that you get around your day?
Yeah, usually it turns out, hey, I look at my Twitter feed, because there's always some new thing about new technologies. It's got nothing to do with politics or religion. It's always about, hey, what's the darn new technology somebody is out there trying to promote it or talk about it. And also I use Twitter as a way to gather new content for my courses. So I'm also a guy who does a lot of research about, hey, what technology is out there? When is it going to be ready? Roadmap stuff. So Twitter, and from Twitter down to, as I'm reading Twitter, I kind of start taking a notes to self, which is an email back to myself, right? I put a note about what I read and email it to myself. Nice. Next thing I read, I email it to, again, until I get to a point I have like 14 or 15 articles that I may have read or thought about. And that becomes almost like my own self-feed, right? Maybe there's a better tool out there, but I use email as a way to keep track of what I read.
Very, very smart. I love that. It's a great place to keep everything organized. I always say that's my number one social network. That's my number one money maker, is the gmail.com, an email, because that's where all your friends, business, everything comes from. And you underutilize that. Simple tactic like that, but that's really going to be useful, making sure you always have those notes. You can archive them. You can put them in a folder. You can do so many different things to have them organized. And then obviously we know a lot of the, they're on your phone, they're on wherever device you're at. So they're also with you forever too. So, is there a favorite tool or app that you use in the business that you love, that you just like gravitated to?
The one I gravitated more towards is I forgot again, these Notion.so. Notion is a tool, again, similar to, so how do I graduate from being a email guy to start capturing notes and turn that into a web page? So some of the new web pages are turned into, used to be a classic old wiki. Right now, Wiki is on steroids. Right now, you can not only can you put stuff into Notion, but I can turn that into half a dozen pages. You can interactivity and publish that as a subdomain, Notion.so. And it turns out that we create a lot of content, especially me as a leader. I tend to think a lot of stuff, do a lot of things, and I got to get that work out to a lot of people. So instead of trying to make it perfect, I just put it on Notion and provide the link. And next thing I know is I'm getting comments and feedback, and I turn that into a better content.
Got you. So you put it out there, and then you get the creative feedback.
Correct.
I like that model too, because you get the things done. People always forget they get stuck behind perfection, right? And then let's get that thing done, baby. Let's get that work done. A couple last questions, my dude. I really appreciate you. You got a whole page load of notes, my dude, on you. What if you could sit down with tonight to a chicken dinner out there in beautiful Austin? Who would you want to sit down with? Who would you want to sit down for dinner tonight?
There are a couple of friends I met, and I think they're out there. I don't know if they even listen to one of them as in India. I call them my childhood friend, maybe an 8-9-year-old, Sravan Ankaraju, right? And I do not know. It's I still remember our early 8 to 10-year-old entrepreneurship was to make these bags with paper, go into grocery stores and sell them for a penny or two, and we would get $1 out of 100 bags, right? Something like that as a kid. And that was my first foray into entrepreneurship. I still wonder where he is, what he's doing. I do not know if he's around. Right. I'd like to have a meal with him. And this is without, again, being political, right? There was, I think, one of the articles that I wrote or talked about was this Mikhail Gorbachev, right, the Russian leader, right? And there's a thing on his head. There's actually a spot on his head. It's almost like a mark. It used to look, when I was growing up in India, like an Indian map, right? So I actually want to sit down next to him and actually look at his head and see, is it really
an Indian map, baby? Is that really an Indian map, baby? Yeah, I always remember that mark too as a kid, actually.
Right, and it's just, and again, it's a politics. Or I think he lives in the United States now. I think he's a professor at a university of either Georgia or someplace, honorary guest and a professor. So he lives here. So why not, right?
Just sit down and talk about.
Yes.
Let's sit down, baby. Let's talk about it. Let's sit down and talk. Is there a book that has changed your life, or a book that you like reread, sticks to your soul?
The Malcolm Gladwell's Blink. I think one of those books. That was an early one, and I think Good to Great was another book.
Oh yeah.
And Good to Great was about, hey, do we have right people on the bus, and do we have for the journey you're going to go through? Not everybody may be on the same mission and vision, but the people you want, are they on the same bus with you? And so the Good to Great was building about great companies, and Blink is about, at the end of the day, we all have a specific skill set, and we got to work on our strengths more than our weaknesses, and things like that. So a couple of books, my favorite books, the book I wrote, I think took
give your book a shout out too. We're going to put that in the show notes as well. Hacker and Heroes, right?
It's called Hackers and Heroes.
Hackers and Heroes.
Right, Hackers and Heroes. How everyone can participate in the tech economy. That's the book. That's cool. And I think the idea here is, look, everything I spoke to you about, from military to those that are underserved, there's an opportunity to take advantage of technology to take the leap, right? And that's what we talked about on this podcast. But the Malcolm Gladwell and the way he does the research, the way he communicates, sometimes it may get a little verbose and a little long, but I think the message is there.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. I really truly believe, folks, if you are not thinking about this and taking a little shot at the future, and self-education is the future. So thank you for schools like yours. Thank you for you, my dude. Can we gravitate folks to the website so they can learn more about it, about the business, about the academy?
Yeah, https divergence.one. So divergence divergence.one, right?
Yeah.
That's the website. And you can also reach out on our phone number, which is 1-833-DIVERGE, DIVERGE, 1-833-DIVERGE. We'll get you directly to our phone lines. A bunch of folks are standing by to receive your calls. And email is hello@divergence.one.
And we'll put that all in the show notes, folks, so you guys can make that easy for you. Don't worry about that. You can just hit the description button, and you will see all that in the show notes, both the number, the website, which is awesome, man. You have a lot of cool stuff on the website, including the blog, man. Tons of great information on the blog. AI courses, cloud courses, data security, data science, cybersecurity. Is there also a favorite place for you? You love hanging out on Twitter too, right? Is that through the Divergent Academy website?
Right. So yeah, you can find me on Sravan, my first name and last name together, Sravan Ankaraju. That's my Twitter, directly on Twitter and Facebook. I don't spend too much time on Facebook, so the best way is that, or LinkedIn. You can search for me on LinkedIn, and happy to connect and happy to share what I know.
Well, I really appreciate your time, folks. You've been hanging out with Mr. Sravan Ankaraju and Travis Too Tall and Huff. We want to thank you so much for your time today, and let's keep being real.
What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today. We're all going through a lot right now. And Real-Time Outsource, my business, is giving back to local and small businesses. Through our social media services and campaigns, we are actually helping small businesses get more exposure during these times, and also when we get through these times. At the end of the day, we don't know how long this is all going to last, but most importantly, you got to think about your business right now and take it seriously. So come check us out at realtimeoutsource.com, and we would love for you to qualify and get the process started where we can take a look at your business and see if we can qualify you for some of our services at little to no cost for most of the businesses. And some businesses, you're going to have to pay, but that's just part of life, right? But most importantly is that I think this is the time, folks, that you can actually help thrive in your business. And so I would love to help you personally with our team. We're all going through a tough time right now. So take advantage of us. realtimeoutsource.com. Check us out. And we would love to do some business with you and help you with your social and digital media in 2020 and beyond.